Hoffman is running for Congress. He is opposed to civil unions.
Actually.
Oh. Well, he is against big government bailouts.
Not before.
Jeez. Well, Doug Hoffman lives in the 23rd Congressional This guy doesn't even live here? Why are we... Doug Hoffman is running...
From himself. Paid for by the National Republican Congressional Committee and not authorized by any candidate or candidates committee.
That's right. Republicans attacking conservatives, and in this case, the conservative candidate polling very well against the established Republican anointed one in an upstate New York congressional election. My next guest fears that the grand old party could be digging itself a grand old ditch. Rick Tyler is a spokesman for Newt Gingrich, who is supporting the Republican candidate, not the conservative candidate in the race. Rick, this is prompting, like a Hatfield and McCoy kind of civil war here. You got the Governor Poloni of Minnesota and Sarah Palin's supporting the conservative candidate, your boss, and some of the other established types supporting the Republican nominee. It's divisive, is it not?
Well, it is divisive and also destructive because the Republican Party can't win by division. It wins by addition and not subtraction. I think back to when Newt was Speaker, and we had people like Chris Shays and Nancy Johnson and Charlie Bass, Jim Leach of Iowa, we had Jennifer Dunn of Washington, we had Jan Meyer of Kansas, and we had Tom Campbell of California. They were all moderates. They all voted for the contract with America. They all voted for Newt as Speaker. They were all, by the way, supported and endorsed by Dick Armey, who has supported Doug Hoffman in this race. And they all voted for Newt for Speaker. And when Newt was Speaker, we got welfare reform, balanced budget, we got NAFTA, we got, and I think one of the most important and interesting things, we stopped Hillary Care. And now we are not going to be in charge in the Congress if we keep going in this direction.
Well, does your candidate, Rick, support, or your Newt Gingrich to the point, this Republican Party ad against this conservative candidate?
Well, look, when the NRCC runs ads, tactically, if you look at it as a tactician or a practitioner of politics, you'd say it's the right thing to do. This is a three-way race, and you got to run ads against your strongest opponent. On the other hand, the thing that concerns me is that in the long run, the Republican National Committee and the Republican establishment, the RNC, has to learn how do you capture the energy of the Tea Party movement, which is very significant.
Well, you don't bash it, Rick. The way you do it, you don't bash it. I know I know Newt had nothing to do with these ads, but you certainly don't go out of your way to bash it, because a lot of conservatives, whether you agree or disagree with them, they take great offense to that, and they say, well, I haven't left the Republican Party. The Republican Party's left me. How would you disavow them of that notion?
I would disavow them this way. What many of the Tea Party folks have done, they've done a terrific job. And I mean, it's just inspiring. I mean, these are people and taxpayers with jobs who actually show up to protest. That's almost never, that hasn't happened in my lifetime. And so they show up. But what they need to understand is there's a political process which currently they're completely on the outside of, and it exposes their weakness, which is when the Republican Party went to actually nominate a candidate, they had 11 county chairmen. They had 4 regional meetings. This is all in the law, and they had no players on the field. In other words, the Tea Party movement wasn't engaged in the political process that would lead to the nomination of the candidate they wanted. So I hope going forward the Tea Party would learn a lesson from this and say, look, we've got to control county chairmen. We've got to elect
But they're not, Rick, they're not. So I'm just looking at this and wondering if this keeps up and then the Republican Party, whether locally or nationally, reacts this way to an upstart or firebrand conservative. Are you worried?
Well, 2 things will happen, both of which I'm worried about. One is the Tea Party, if they go in this direction, they don't engage politically, will go the way of 1,000 independent movements that have started since the birth of the Republic. We've been a 2-party system for over 100 years, and lots of third parties have come and gone, but they haven't engaged in the political process.
So do you think Newt regrets this endorsement?
No, I don't think so at all. I think Newt was supported by moderates, as I outlined, and through growing the party. Look, if all the conservatives voted tomorrow, we would still lose. So the decision we have to make, do we want to beat Democrats? Well, notice what Rahm Emanuel did in the last election. What he got beat up by his left for was electing conservative Democrats. They are now part of their majority, and they're passing health care, cap and trade, and all the rest of it.
All right, Rick, thank you very much. We'll have a lot more after this.